found alumni have been, McKinsey is always very good at building talent alumni. They've been something that professional services firms have done for many years. That's now being digitized, and we're now seeing that move into companies outside of the professional services firms like UBS. All right. Here's the next thing that they did was they moved from being this product-focused company to customer-centric. We talked about these journeys, 250 journeys that are employee journeys as well as customer journeys. So if you remember the map that I had of the employee getting more miserable, the customer getting more miserable as their credit cards that are employee journey process becomes harder and harder. As that well as customer becomes more so if you remember, so does the employee that I had of the employee getting more miserable, the customer trying to deal with that very as their credit cards behind and their process becomes harder and harder. So as these two customer becomes led more, so if you remember, so does the employee that I had just that customer trying to deal with that very on what technologies, what capabilities, what opportunities we need to build for our people to ensure that they can deliver. We used to think about these types of journeys as being related to process. And I want us to shift our thinking away from process to being about creating empowered employees that are able to work more effectively. Some of it's about process, but a lot of it is about a more empowered employee. Here's the thing about the 22,000 person startup. First of all, they said they had to be customer obsessed. Not just customer focused, customer obsessed. Here's the thing about gathering data, understanding more about the customer. First of all, they said they had to be customer obsessed. Acquiring or producing an employee experience, customer focused, customer obsessed. Here's the thing about gathering data, customer understanding more about the data. First of all, they said they had to be customer obsessed. Paramount in everything that they are doing. They wanted to develop, and they have been working very hard on developing this risk and experiment type of mindset, test and learn. So getting every employee to think about what it takes to build a hypothesis, to create an experiment around that hypothesis, to gather data, and then to learn. Agile is another, the fourth pillar of what they're doing. Agile in ways that make sense across the organization. Learning how to be agile, learning what that means, learning how to create cross-functional teams and be much more versatile across those teams, and finally being a learning organization. So these were the 5 pillars that they said, they identified as making up a 22,000 person startup. And then they said about creating strategies around each of these pillars, gathering data and managing them. Sounds pretty reasonable, doesn't it? Okay, so we've talked a lot about online learning platforms and reskilling for digital. This was their Digify program. This is their process of being a learning organization, and that's what I want us to focus on as we think about what the extent of what DBS have done to implement across those 5 pillars. Remember, they started this journey with the majority of their IT digital people employed under contract, not working for DBS. What they realized was unless they started to do this, unless they made this investment, they weren't going to be able to deliver on their digital transformation, because they just weren't able to get people committed to their strategy, willing to engage in the capabilities that they needed for their digital transformation, and able to take that strategy forward and power that strategy up. So Digify is about building power and muscle behind their digital transformation strategy. They had their vision, they knew where they wanted to go, they now needed the power to do that. Now, if you look at the 5 of the 7 priority skills on this slide, they look very different from what you would typically see in a bank's learning and development platform. They invested $20 million in this platform, and it's totally focused on these 7 priorities. Being more agile, being data-driven, everyone understanding the digital business model, everyone across the organisation understanding what it takes to build an operational backbone, to focus on reuse, to understand how to build a business model that's fit for digital. Communicating everything digitally and sharing those skills right across the organisation so that all managers and leaders understood what it meant to start communicating in digital ways. Understanding digital technologies themselves, not everybody had to have deep programming skills, but they certainly had to be able to lift the lid and understand more about what's sat underneath than just being able to say the word coding. They had trained everybody in journey thinking and journey mapping so that everybody understood what was happening when they mapped journeys, what they were talking about when they talked about taking away customer waiting hours and what it meant to drive and to run a journey. And then finally, they had a whole program on risk and controls. So, who's likely to be the sticking point in all of this? You're giving people the skills, you're engaging them in a process of learning. Is everyone going to be excited about participating in this? Shingo. Want to comment on that?
すみません、これちょっとあるかなと思ったんですけど、インターナルですか？はい。
Internal. This is their internal learning platform. Big investment, huh? But you can build this. How do you make sure that people use it? Show of hands, how many people have built in the last 2 years an online digital learning platform? Yeah. What are you doing at PlayStation?
まあ、基本的にはいろんなところから、コンテンツを集めて、ポータルを作ってやるんですけど、やっぱりそういうような働き方とか、そういうテーマを、これ人事をしてるんですけど、R&D の一環でやってる。
Right. Does everyone use it?
ですね、ちょっと最近どうかはわかんないですけど、最初はなんかギブアウェイとかやったり、このプログラムを完成するとこうなるみたいなのをやって、プロモーションはしてたの。ちょっと最近どうかはわかんないです。
Right. Anyone else got experience with these platforms? Usage rate not so great, and this is even in a place like PlayStation. Why? Anyone else got experience in online learning platforms for digital? Yeah. What's happened? Oh yes, a digitally fit organization, right? Mariyama-san, what are you finding? Are people using it?
コンテンツはいくつか作ったんですけども、最初は見て瞬間的に楽しい、面白いなと思えるようなものをコンテンツに積むって言いますか。例えば当社の場合だと、昨日もちょっとお話したかもしれないんですが、AI/OCR の技術で画像から、自動車の事故の損害額を算定するという AI を作るプロセスを一つ一つの約30万に及ぶ車のパーツのペダント、コーチンを画像に読み込ませて AI にするんだというプロセスを見せて、こういうふうに AI ってできるんだということを比較的短時間で見て楽しいというようなものを見せて、こういうふうにすれば AI ができるねとか、こういうふうにすれば RPA ができるんだねということを見た人が覚えると、次にまた自分の仕事の中のこういうものを AI にできないかとか、RPA にできないかというふうに、 見て、そのアイデアをトスアップするという仕組みにして、次のコンテンツを見せるというようなものにして、利用率の低い年齢層とか部署の社員とかがいると、そこはなぜ見ないのか、どうしてこれで学習しないのかということを考えて、そこの部門向けに新しいコンテンツを投入するということを繰り返しているということです。
Okay. So where someone is monitoring the usage of these platforms and trying to increase the way in which they engage people. Are they open to the people who are full-time in your organization as well as those that are employed via contracts?
基本的には、当社に席のある社員であれば全員誰でも社長から新入社員まで同じように使います。
Okay, and even contractors, people who work for someone else but work for you in a contract?
使う分には使えます。
Okay. So for DBS, this was very much a part of their strategy to engage both their full-time workers and their contractors. They have started to work at understanding what it means to be a hybrid organization and how you create these capabilities, not just for your own people, but for anybody who comes to work at DBS, regardless of how they're engaged with the organization. Everything is done here in 10-minute slots. Maximum time of watching is 10 minutes. You'll see that it's tagged 10 minutes future you. So that you can grab snapshots of learning when you're on the train, when you're on the bus, when you're at home and just have a spare 10 minutes. But it is anticipated that everyone will be curious to learn. So just placing this content on a platform they discovered was just not enough. This is a snapshot of their learning right across the organization. So this is where the capability platform, the learning platform itself, starts to then engage people right across their different regions. If you look at the yellow boxes, you'll see that that's all about peer-to-peer learning. They discovered there were two key things that really engaged their people in the learning processes. And it wasn't online learning, purely. The biggest thing was peer-to-peer. So they now have their leaders with a series of KPIs, not about them being leaders or coaches, but about them being teachers. They measure how good you are as a leader at teaching. Your job as a leader is to learn new things off the platform, out and about in wherever conferences or any other learning environment. But the way that that is measured is your ability to then teach it to your people. So the KPI is based on how well your people implement that learning, because that reflects on how well you were, how capable you were to teach it. That's been a very big shift at DBS in terms of engaging their people and their skills and creating this ongoing learning environment to attract and retain the talent that they need. The second thing to look at is the self-paced learning, which is the platform itself. But look at the ritual-based learning. This is establishing rituals within the organization around learning constantly. Weekly brown bag lunches, back to school, themed weeks, and all of this is gamified and fun. So fun is a huge part of the learning process at DBS and their ability to attract and retain the kind of talent that they need. Who thought? Who thought fun and banking could be in the same sentence? is. They have made this a very gamified, fun place to be in order to build the capabilities of all of their people. This is their data program. Their data program very similar to BBVA. You'll notice it's very structured, very available to anybody to be part of their Data Heroes program. To date, they've put 250 people through the entire program. If you look over here at this yellow triangle, it's more about your personal competencies. So the Digify program is about personalizing the development, personalizing the training, making you build your competencies so that you're able to both line up at the doors of all of those companies and also DBS itself. So this has become really central to their ability to maintain this learning organization. They changed the way that they are thinking about how you present in the workplace, empowering their people. And this is part of their Dress for Success code. Remember yesterday we talked about business rules? They had a big dress code that was about 4 pages of dress code. It's now 1 sentence. Empowering their people, trusting their people, and then engaging them in different ways of having conversations so that they are fit for a digital world. This is their innovation program. So you'll notice that one of the pillars was around innovation and engaging people in their innovation program right across the organization. They've now got over half of their staff engaged in this process. And you'll see the nature of these startups and the nature of the opportunities for people to get hooked into their innovation programs. This is all web-based, it's app-based, mobile, so that it's very easy for people to engage in these communities and actively contribute. So yesterday when we measured not only your ability to come up with new ideas, but your ability to contribute to other people's ideas, this is how they've addressed that capability to ensure that all of their people are able to contribute in any of the projects that they have right across the organization, and also find those projects so that they're not reinventing the wheel. So this has also been a very important part of how they've created this new talent, this new way of thinking around digital. Okay, before we move into the case that you read this week, I just wanted to ask you, does anyone else want to add or share with the group things that they are doing around creating this digital environment for their people?